Great. Welcome, everybody. My name is Donald Gensler. I run our Art and Public Places program here at the City of Sacramento. And I'm thrilled to have you here with us today for our first in 7 presentations through this week and next week for the Del Rio Trail. These are 7 artists that were chosen from a group of over 110 artist submissions from around the country. And the artists have been working through a whole series of kind of discussions and dialogue with some artists in phase 1 and also with their own kind of investigations. I'm gonna be rather brief in my introductory remarks so that we have plenty of time so that you all can meet Janet Zweig, who is the artist who'll be presenting today. Janet is an artist based in New York City. She has just a wide variety of public art commissions from the city of New York, the city of Austin, which you'll see a couple examples of, city of Seattle, San Diego, West Sacramento, and the list goes on. Janet has been doing this work for quite a long time. She's received the Orchid Award from San Diego Architectural Foundation, the Public Art Network Year in Review Award, AIA Awards. She has also received the Joan Mitchell Foundation grant, as well as a number of other grants to the National Endowment for the Arts and others. She's a past Rome Prize Fellow and has, quite frankly, been a real pleasure to work with through this process. Janet has been just investigating this site and trying to think about ways that her work might integrate within this larger concept of the Del Rio Trail. Lastly, I just want to everybody who's here has participated in some way through one of our Del Rio Trail events, and you were sent either an email or an invite. And so we just really are thrilled to have you. And we hope that you will come to the other 6 presentations, both this week and next week. We do hope that you will comment and leave your thoughts with us, both in the chat, and then afterwards we'll have some time to have some dialogue. Again, thank you so much for being here. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Janet Zweig. Janet?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks, Donald. First, I just want to say thank you to Donald Gensler, who's just speaking, and Beth Jones and Linda Jolly, who are managing this project in an amazing way. They've got a really big job to do with all these 7 artists, and I just feel really shepherded through the process. So thank you, guys. And thanks to anyone who's from the panel who selected me. I appreciate it. And anyone else who's here, thanks for coming. I have been to Sacramento a lot because I worked on a project in West Sacramento. The big sign that says West that has its back to Sacramento, I'm sorry. And just really love it there. I'm struck by the incredible urban forest. And that's something I've really focused on for this project. The variety of trees, the variety of birds. So the Del Rio Trail is an experience of nature in an urban setting, and that's what I'm focusing on. And I also really wanted to stick to the original brief, even though Donald said, like, you can stretch it, you can take it anywhere you want to, but the original brief was make a gathering space. And I took that finally very seriously because I like the idea of people getting off the trail and maybe one by one or in a group gathering. And finally, like just as an overview, lately, and I'm going to show you in some of my past work, I'm interested in a particular material exploration and generally interested in the natural world, and always have been. So, so let me, without further piano tuning, share my screen. and start to talk about the project and the proposal. So can everyone see this? Yes, yes, they're saying yes. Okay. So I'm going to show you two and a half pieces. One is not quite a public art piece, but it kind of is. It was just a little impromptu thing. And I'm showing you these particular things for a reason. The very last thing I made was a big project in the Austin airport with every possible material, media, all kinds of stuff. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but here's a video of it. It is an entire boarding room that goes to fictional locations. I'm still amazed they let me do this, but
This is a general announcement for passengers traveling to Prometheus Station for the final destination of the planet Solaris. Please be aware that you are traveling to a planet covered by a sentient ocean that will be able to read your minds. In addition, the planet Solaris is orbiting 2 different suns, so there will be some instability when you arrive. Thank you, and have a great trip. Attention passengers en route to Airstrip 1. Remember the 3-party slogans. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Please report complainers and dissidents at the nearest Thought Police telescreen. They will be removed to room 101 for party re-education. Big Brother is watching you. Have a nice day. Passengers, please prepare to board your flight to asteroid B612. Bring your sunglasses because this planet is so small that you may see the sun set 44 times in one day. Be aware, too, that you may fall in love with a single flower. And please try not to behave like a grown-up.
okay, now, sorry, why did I show you that? Well, just for fun, but also because I had a number of items made out of bronze for this piece. And I suddenly, even though, you know, I'd always thought of bronze as something that I probably wouldn't work in much, I just fell in love with the material. And, you know, another part of this assignment for Del Rio Trail is to make something that has no electricity, that has no inner moving parts, that's not, you know, that's permanent. And I just sort of thought, let's explore bronze a little bit more. So it's one of the reasons I'm showing you this besides any other. And then I'm showing you this piece that I installed in 2018 in a library in San Diego. San Diego has an amazing plan for climate change for their future. They put together this booklet and done tons of research, and they work with all kinds of scientists. They have a plan called San Diego 2050, what the city will be like if nothing is done about climate change. So, and then, you know, another thing I did when I was in San Diego is I had office hours. I like to do that instead of community meetings. And I chatted with people in the old library. And I realized that this particular neighborhood, especially Hillcrest, they really wanted something traditional. So I thought, well, I'll give them something that looks really traditional. So, you know, traditional beauty, but that has this other layer behind it about climate change. So this is called Abstraction Devices Climate Clocks. I took 3 photographs of specific aspects of San Diego, the canyons, the shore, and something else that I forgot. And you'll still see it in a second. And the 3 things that are going to be impacted by climate change. and then built this structure where these rolls of paper are painted with those photographs, except I hired an amazing painter, young painter named Catherine Goshorn, and we went to the Met and we looked at Dutch paintings and we transformed them into the color palette from 16th century, 17th century Dutch paintings. So this is the shore. And they're feeding into these schools. So what's happening is the figuration, oh, this is the reservoir, sorry, that's the third thing. The figuration is unrolling and unspooling and turning into abstraction on the other side. If you look back, you can see that on the face of that spool over on the left is just stripes. So there's the third one, the canyon. And they're going super slowly. So they only go at noon. They go a specific amount according to an algorithm. And the algorithm is set up so that when the roll in 50 years, if nothing is done to ameliorate climate change, they will be half gone or more than half gone. But that's by 2050. So they're not noticing it the past few years. They're not noticing it getting smaller, but they will start to notice, because as a circle gets smaller, it goes faster. So, you know, if this library is still there in 2050, they're going to have some little circles on the wall, unless they've really ameliorated climate change, in which case we'll stop it. So I worked with a scientist at Scripps, and these are the graphs of sea level rise, minimum temperature for the canyon, and dry periods for the reservoir that they're working towards as the 50-year projection. So that's that. So that's my interest in nature. And then my final piece I wanted to show you was just a little ad hoc thing I did during the pandemic. This is my street, Willow Street in Brooklyn. And during the pandemic, that Austin project ground to a halt, everything was ground to a halt. And there's a tree census in New York where every single tree, you can go on the map and find every single tree. So I have a little laminator and I just printed out 80 different trees and labeled every tree on Willow Street. It goes from the BQE, Brooklyn Queens Expressway, to Pierpont Street, and I labeled them all. And about half of them are still up. Yeah. So that's just my love of trees. So we've got a few things here: nature, trees, bronze, all converging to this project. So for Del Rio Trail, I was thinking, a lot of the artists in the beginning were talking about, oh, can you see something from far away? And I started to kind of get on that wagon too a little bit. And then I suddenly thought, wait, I really love the woods. I want to focus on the woods, the deep space, like you're riding along the trail and you come upon something, not literally in the woods, but sort of a mystery, a gathering place where you can stop, where it's going to be cool. So I thought, I want to make, I guess in the past I've made a little more, large, I guess I was going to say spectacles, but I don't think of the Austin piece as a spectacle. I think of it as intimate in various places. So I do like that intimate up close experience. I want to make a thing of wonder, a marvel, a discovery. Definitely a celebration of nature, especially trees in the Sacramento area, but also birds. A gathering space, or a place that one person can have a little private contemplation. I want to make it permanent and low maintenance, which is something I haven't done much, but I just really want to do that. I don't want anybody to go to any trouble. I want it just to be there. And then finally, I'm just a little bit in love with bronze and bronze patinas right now, and I just want to explore that. So I'm going with that, like very permanent and low maintenance. So inspirations, as you saw, I was labeling the trees on the street, but I've also been going around the neighborhood for years now. And like Donald, who does it too, picking up tree seeds and pods. I'm sure like half the people in this group do that. And these are just a few of the ones that I had picked up before, before this, or years ago, I guess. Then being out in Sacramento area, I just started noticing these woodpecker holes, especially acorn woodpeckers, which I don't know how many of you know about acorn woodpeckers. They're so interesting. This guy on the right, they make holes, they collect these particular kinds of acorns and they store them in there. So it kind of, when I first saw it, I thought, is this a collaboration between a woodpecker and a squirrel? But it turns out it's all the work of acorn woodpeckers. And I'm just in love with that. And then pileated woodpeckers up in the top make big holes, and sapsuckers and little downy woodpeckers make other kinds of holes. So it's just a beautiful pattern. There's just beautiful patterns of holes and seeds, and that sort of the confluence of holes and seeds with the acorn woodpecker. So without further ado, I'm going to show you what I want to make. I want to make a big bronze table. This is just an approximation, not the real thing. This is a render, but a 16-foot bronze table that's covered with local pods and seeds, and also pecked much more than this with woodpecker pecks. And this side is just my bad photoshopping of the acorn woodpecker on the, you can see it on the stem and the corner and the left side, but it will change a bit, depending. I think there's going to be a lot more pecking on it. Like the woodpecking is going to be a little more foregrounded, but and here, this is, I think, pileated woodpecker holes photoshopped on. I want to have two different kinds of patinas, where the seed pods are really like jewels. It's big. This doesn't even, 16 feet is long and 4 feet wide. It's a great big thing. It's not in the woods like this. At first I thought it was going to be in the woods, but it's not going to be in the woods like this. So those are the renders. If here's a little close up. If you want to see them again at any point, I'm happy to show them again, but I'm going to move on from those. And say that the site that we finally agreed on for a variety of reasons is this 35th Street lawn. It's at 35th and 14th Street, I think. It's this big lawn, and there's a bunch of trees there. And if you look at this, this thing right here, this tape, sort of here, so that we're going to put, so it's sort of on a little berm, but we're going to put DG, decomposed granite, to lead up to it so that anybody can get to it, and just under it, and that's it. So there will be a little elegant pathway from the pathway, and that just shadows underneath it. Because there's a curved pathway that comes in here. This is 35th Street here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is 35th Street. And there's a little pathway here, and then it'll just be right off of there. And I have a couple other little angles. So it's shaded in the morning quite a bit, probably shaded at noon. There's probably going to be a time when it gets sun, but there's some big trees on the other side. So I'm hoping it's going to be a little, maybe it's going to be as close as we can get to those trees without bothering them. There's not going to be anything deep. We're just going to have some little shallow foundations. So we'll talk to either an arborist or someone to tell us how close we can be to those trees. There it is again. And then, so what I've been doing, aside from, getting quotes from foundries and thinking about woodpeckers and thinking about how we're going to get that stuff, is making a collection of seed pods that are local, or from trees that are local. This is my collection just as of, well, it's grown since this, but here's a collection. So far, we had a little meeting at the site. Donald and Beth and Linda facilitated it, and people brought some things, various things. Some things are just too big, and so I'm trying to keep everything like low so they can really have a lot of contact points to the table. So it, like for instance, some things might not work, like this thing which leaps up so high might not work because we have to really like practically embed them so that they don't get grabbed or anything. We're going to really work on that. The flat things are great because they can, the maple seeds and things like this, because they can really be practically embedded. But we will make them separately. We're going to use a burnout technique where the pod will disappear and they'll get filled with bronze. So we're going to be helped to collect and identify, and I'd like to have signage that identifies the tree that every pod came from right near it. It would be nice to have about 100 different, at least 100 different tree species. So we'll be helped to collect and identify by friends and neighbors in the greater Sacramento area. So we've already started that. And then the Sacramento Tree Foundation, specifically Pamela Frickman Sanchez, the education programs manager, is going to help a bit. She's going to find some things for us and also help identify. The California State Capitol Museum Tree Collection, they have already given us permission to pick up things that are on the ground. It's always a little harder to get things from the ground then because people sweep things up, but they have given us permission. And then finally, you or anyone you know, if you're in Sacramento, some of you aren't, I would be super grateful if you are a tree fan and you're in the California, anywhere, Northern California. If there's something you don't see or even something you do see there, donating tree seeds and pods for this, information about tree species, if you have some, information about Western woodpeckers, the location of some acorn woodpecker holes, because we want to take a mold from one of those trees without harming the woodpecker. And so my email is in the chat. It's the first thing in the chat, and just email me if you have something and we'll figure out if somebody can pick it up from you. And one more, oops. Wait, hang on, sorry. My keyboard stopped working. Here's a little close up. Eucalyptus, maple, redwood of some Don Redwood. I don't know what this is. If anybody knows, let me know. This is a crazy thing from San Diego, and I don't know if this tree grows up north, so I'll have to find out. Sycamore, or we call them London plane trees here. Magnolia from Donald. Isn't that yours, Donald?
I think so, but you never know. There's a lot.
Never know. Yeah, I've got about 3 of them. I think my keyboard just died, so I got to do this. And then finally, the acorn woodpeckers use these long, weird acorns, which do not grow east here. And they're either coast live oak or California black oak acorns. That's what they collect. And I need a whole mess of those. And I've only got these numbers so far. So if anybody can get any of those, happy to receive them. Yeah, and that's kind of my presentation, folks. So now, questions.
Terrific. Thank you, Janet. It was excellent. I appreciate you going through all of that. We've got a good amount of time left for some discussion. Again, for those of you who might have just come in a little bit late, the concept here is that Janet, that each artist through this week and next week will kind of present their design proposal, and all of you were in some way connected with, have been in some way connected with the Del Rio Trail, possibly through our phase 1 programming that we did. And so we would just love to hear your thoughts. If you're really interested in something, if you have questions about something, we just want to kind of have this opportunity for folks to comment and just have a little bit of dialogue. We have Janet's email in the chat. I just put it in again. I'm going to put my email again in the chat as well. You certainly can email me afterwards. But this is a great opportunity for us to just have some, open dialogue and comments about the direction of Janet's piece here. So with that, I'm just going to open it up. If you want to do a raise hand function, or if I see your hand, that's cool. If you want to just start talking, as long as we don't start talking over one another, then that's good. I've got Diana looking on here. So if anybody has any thoughts or questions, this would be a great opportunity to jump in.
I see a bunch of people talking about tree species, like someone said, looks like a yellowwood pod. Which one is that?
It may be tough to, that's why it's great that you have the Sac Tree Foundation involved, Janet, because some of them may be.
If you saw something, just email me, and there's my email address, and I put it at the top and at the bottom here. And so just email me if you know of something. Someone says, I think the curly ones might be coral tree pods. Wow, really? Okay, thanks.
Oh, so another question. I'll start with the chat. I think that's a great idea. Considerations around differentiating native and non-native species for this project.
No.
I don't think so. Just because Janet's concept, and Janet, you can speak to this, is just that they're kind of laying, on the table.
What I want to say is, the Capitol Museum tree collection has 215 species, and they're not native in the sense that they were originally there, but they grow there. So anything that grows there, I'm going to include. Something that doesn't grow there at all, I won't include. So only something that can grow in Sacramento.
Terrific. Thank you, Janet. Hey, I've got, there's a couple comments and questions in the chat, but I'm going to take Aksha. It's actually one of our arts commissioners. Aksha, would you like to comment?
Yeah, hi. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I just wanted to say that I'm Aksha Mehta. I've been on the Arts Commission for some time now, and I've kind of seen the Del Rio Trail like throughout since its very early stages, and I'm incredibly excited to kind of see it all come together into fruition. I wanted to say that I think the idea is absolutely fantastic. I think the bronze works really well with the table, and I think having that kind of connection to Sacramento with all of those different types of, plants and all of that on the table is just going to be absolutely fantastic. And I really can't wait to see it. So yeah, I just want to say I really love the idea.
Thank you. Thank you. I noticed something in the chat too, that there might be a misconception. The whole table is made of bronze. Maybe that's obvious. It's just two different patinas. So it's a bronze table with bronze pods.
Yeah, absolutely. But Aksha brings up a great point. I think there is a kind of the beauty of this, and I think that if I could, Janet, I think one of the things that comes out in Janet's work is her interest in crossover between art and science and ecology and of course larger environmental concerns, and just but done in a very kind of simple, beautiful way of just. It's almost like this table setting of all of these different species of trees that then we have a chance to examine and think about and ponder. So I'm really thrilled about this type of project, I think. And I also personally love this concept of people providing Janet with seed pods. So I really hope many of you will take her up on that. Again, you'll have my information as well. Janet put her information there, but we're going to be continuing to collect seed pods as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the chat still. Yeah, if anyone wants to just find anything and tell me about it, we can come to you and pick it up from you.
And we could probably have we did a little gathering meeting. We ended up having about 10 or 11 people there. It wasn't a huge meeting this time, but on 35th Avenue. And by the way, it is 35th Avenue. It's right across from Department of Utilities. That's the site that we're really looking at. We're still working out some of the details with some of our city departments. So just to be clear with that, but we think that this site would be a really wonderful location, safe location for this work. we can also potentially arrange another opportunity, Janet, if there were enough folks to, meet up and gather seed pods that way. So we'll do that. Beth, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the cross street is Park Village. It's right on that corner. And kind of one of the beautiful things about it, I think, is that it is landscaped in a kind of lovely way. And it's a lush area, which even though we decided maybe the wood kind of area, the wooded area was not quite as good as far as, safety for the piece and that kind of thing, I still think we've accomplished with the site that you chose, that feeling. And for me personally, I just want to say that I think the piece is it's really layered, even though it's, traditional material, a bronze table, it's very mysterious and it could be used for so many different things. Lay scientists, lay people who are interested in botany may have been here, examining the things they found, or someone who we don't even know has appeared from somewhere and their travels and laid their specimens down. But then it also, I think Donald mentioned, it's kind of like a table setting, or it's like a feast of beautiful beginnings of trees. And I really am so very happy with this proposal.
Thank you.
And I'll just add as well. I'm not sure if the principal was able to join us, but New Technology High School is right around the corner from here as well. Unfortunately, it is during the summertime, but I look forward to the possibility of them, being potentially involved in the fall. And I do hope, Janet, that you're able to kind of continue that dialogue with the Sacramento Tree Foundation. For me and for our program, we want to connect in multiple ways and allow art to connect with people in so many different ways. And this might be a great opportunity to have larger conversations in Sacramento about trees, about ecology, about the environment. And just utilize, your artwork potentially here as a jumping off point for those larger conversations. So for me, that's really exciting to see that kind of dialogue and that potential.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and read out. Yeah, so there's a couple of posts in the chat. Folks that have been, walking the trail for so many years. Somebody mentioned about, so many things being covered over by the dirt. Totally get it. And thank you for your interest. And I just think that, any way that you might be able to be involved would be really wonderful. And if you could look for acorns and things, I think that would be, just terrific. I think Janet is looking around at another question was about foundries. I think Janet is looking around at a number of different foundries. Right now, she's exploring the idea of potentially working with one in the Bay Area. So those kinds of details have not totally all been worked out. This is the conceptual proposal phase, and then we'll move in. I'll be making a presentation of all the proposals to our Arts Commission in August. That's the plan, and then the artist will proceed further with further design development and actually developing and fabricating and installing the work. Just a quick update for everybody too. The plan is to have all work installed by the end of June 2024 per our grant guidelines. So very tight timeline. I've told some folks before, I wish we could have been engaged in phase one kind of activities for a year, but we were able to do about 4 or 5 months. And we'll continue to have activities and events around the area. So we have a little more time here. Let me see. I've got a couple other comments. Anybody else have any questions or?
Oh, Donald and Janet, do you have a sense of when you would need those seed pods for your so you could get them into your production schedule?
That's a great question. Janet, you have any thoughts there?
Probably I'm not sure. I'll know that better But September, October, maybe at the absolute latest is my guess. But that's around when they fall too. I mean, in Brooklyn, they're all falling now. I'm not sure why, but I have a little boy neighbor who's been bringing me seed pods right and left lately, and I'm thinking, wow, this seems so early for these. But I think that the trees, Sacramento has a totally different schedule. I don't know what exactly.
Well, yeah,
it's
we're in a completely different zone, of course.
different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some of yours are falling in December, but some people, there might be some on the ground that are there from last year. There
Yeah.
might be some that are a little green, that you can snip off a tree.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one quick thing, Beth. There's been a couple questions just about maintenance and or potential vandalism, graffiti, things like that. Those are things that we as a program are really looking at. I will tell you that as a program, Art in Public Places is just about to conclude a full assessment of its collection. We have been working with a consultant to really assess the entire collection, every piece, both exterior and interior, and also assess what pieces need maintenance and that type of thing. So we're building, I think, a really good plan moving forward. And I hope that many of you will start to notice that in terms of our collection. There's some of our pieces in our collection, which is over 40 years old. Sometimes don't have plaques, things like that. So we're really working extra hard to rectify those situations, and we appreciate everybody's patience. But cleaning up some things from years past. But you should know that this area is maintained by Public Works, Streetscapes, Public Works, and we'll be working hand in hand with them. We really need to make sure they are very comfortable with an installation like this. While the Parks Department is doing a lot of the trail maintenance, this would still fall under the Streetscapes area. So we're working in a coordinated fashion with our other city departments just to make sure that everything is considered, and maintenance over time is definitely an important aspect of this. Beth, you had a question or comment?
I think we may have discussed this before, but people might be interested. Have you, Janet, played with the idea of scale when it comes to the seed pods?
I know they're going to be actual scale. And is that what you mean?
Yes, because it is such a gigantic table. I'm wondering if some of the pods may not be realistic. They might be like bigger than life, or all of them will be absolutely just the way they are.
Yeah, they'll be absolutely the way they are, because the way we're going to make them is to actually burn out the seed pods in real life, like and fill with. And so I noticed that Sherman Fleming, hi, Sherman says, I like how the piece sparks interactivity. And, I have a theory about the interactivity for this piece, is that I'm guessing that people are going to put real cones and pods on it. And I love that idea. Like, I mean, it's a surface. So if somebody puts other things, real things on it, of course they can be taken away. But I just love the idea of people adding to it with real things. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? People will put all kinds of things on it. It's going to be interesting. But it does have that interactivity in that regard, but also, the interactivity of thinking about what tree did this come from? And have I seen that tree? Because there'll be a key to it. And then Sherman also says, how will you go about collecting seed pods from the community? And well, that's why, we did have a little community meeting for that. But my feeling is with this group right now, if like 3 people have already said that they have some things or have seen some things, and I just think, email me and we'll figure it out. We'll have a conversation. I think that's just the best way. Like, oh, I have like 3 or 4 things, and we'll just get them from you somehow.
Yeah, and
people in Sacramento, we can just get them or meet you or something.
Yeah, and if you guys copy me on that, and we'll coordinate that. Like I said, we could have another meeting out at the site, potentially. but we can also find ways to collect those from you. The last ones we collected, we ended up FedExing over to Janet, so she could kind of live with them.
Got a big box. And if anyone sees, I think somebody said they saw a bunch of acorns, but I don't know if anybody's seen one of those acorn woodpecker trees, you know, covered with the holes and the acorns. If you see one of those at any point, just put a pin in your GPS and email me the pin. And because or if you see a few, email me the pin and we'll send somebody out to look at it, because the foundries that we've been talking to want to take a mold off of one of those. So yeah, I super appreciate that.
Terrific. There were a couple questions about maintenance. I think I addressed those, but one person does ask about inventory. Yes, I agree. I mean, it's, you know, this our office began 1978. And I couldn't really find anywhere where we had like a really clear inventory assessment of over 600 plus pieces. We also used to be a county city agency. We're now only a city agency. So yeah, so a lot of work being done, but we are making some really nice progress. So I'm thrilled to be able to share that with all of you. Del Rio Trail, I mean, it was really a wonderful opportunity for a kind of outdoor museum where people will be able to walk, bike this trail, and see a whole series of artwork. And we're working with our public works department and also our sign shop in the city to develop, you know, all kinds of different signage, both about the history of the railroad and indigenous communities and other aspects of this area. But also there will be signage specifically about the artwork. So we're really thrilled about all aspects of this, and also developing a QR code and an app that will help share, especially some of the phase 1 artists' work that did some really wonderful pieces. And I should take this moment to just kind of plug those of you who haven't seen the show at Twisted Track Gallery at 12th and R Street. Just encourage you. It'll be there till July 29th. And there we had 20 artists from all different disciplines creating work about the Del Rio Trail. And I see some of those artists even here with us today. So thank you so much for jumping on. But that's just, I mean, I'm biased, of course, but it's just an incredible show to take in. So I hope you enjoy that. Let's see, we've got a couple other, somebody likes your piece at the Austin airport, Janet. Is there capacity to add my seed pods to the installation? Yes, I think so. And Sherman, you got my contact info, so we can or add more seed pods. Yes, we can definitely do that. Trees falling down.
Did everyone see my reply?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if that's everyone, but I need a lot more because it's a huge table. It's 16 feet, and in the render it looks like there's tons there, but we just cut and pasted and repeated. So we actually 3D scanned a bunch of the ones that I had, and then we repeated them. So that little collection that I showed are the real ones that I have, and I need a lot more.
Yeah, and there was a comment from Joe Flores, Park Commissioner, actually. Joe, thanks for being on today. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I'll reach out to our, we've been in conversation. There's some folks in our Parks Department here too, and we'll continue to talk with them. I know a lot of those trees that came down in Land Park and everything was a lot of work for the city, but I think there's more ways. We still have a little bit of time. Janet, when did you say that you really kind of, when's your...
I wanted to respond to that, the trees falling down, and ask Joe if any of those trees have acorn woodpecker holes in them. Do you know? If you happen to come across that, like a big chunk of a tree with the acorn woodpecker holes like I showed, that would be great, because better than taking a mold off a standing tree or telephone pole, to actually like have a chunk of it and take it to the foundry.
Yeah.
We could figure out how to do that. That would be really cool.
Joe, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I can't speak to the woodpecker part, and I know Jason's on the line too, right? Like, I remember it was a community like mulch and wood trunk giveaway, and I have a couple of those wood trunks that, you know, Parks and Public Works cut for neighbors for collection pieces almost just like this, right? Like I have a few in my backyard. So I don't remember woodpecker holes per se, but like the actual tree was shared to the neighbors, like in memoriam of the 70+ trees that fell during the severe winter storms. Like to have the actual trees that, you know, unfortunately, those are hundreds of years old that we'll never get back. But, you know, some of it was shared to the neighbors, and then this could be a way to, I know you're looking for seeds and pods and stuff like that, but like the actual trunks and bronze them, but that, I think to me, that could be an opportunity, but that's just me.
That
Well-
might be another public art project too, Joe.
Yeah, and
Wonderful.
I did a project in Boston for the Parks Conservancy there, for the Boston Common Parks Conservancy. And they, in their office, whenever a tree gets cut down, they have labels on all the trees. So whenever a tree gets cut down in the Boston Common or the Boston Garden, they cut out the little section with the label on it, and then they make a stack. And they have this beautiful, it's a beautiful sculpture of like the stack of all the different tree slices with the label. So there's like, you know, silver maple and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a stack of labels of slices. Seemed like a work of art in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I just think this is a great opportunity to have larger conversations around ecology and trees and all of that in Sacramento. So anything that can kind of come out of this discussion is just, you know, or this project is just really terrific. Somebody mentioned how large a FedEx box does Janet want? Well, you know, honestly, she's looking for, she needs more. I think more seed pods is better than less. So that she has
Just
things to choose
just
from.
not gigantic ones. Like I got a few giant pine cones. They're just a little too big to be in the collection, but yeah, sure. UPS is good too. Just email me and I'll send you my address.
Yeah, we're not going to require you guys to do the shipping.
no,
We'll
no.
figure that out.
Yeah,
But but yeah, I like the idea of folks, you know, participating, and if anybody's interested, honestly, it's a great opportunity. Yes, and absolutely we could. Oh, I think somebody this is a direct message, but I'll just say, you know, potentially we could have a box at City Hall if that became an issue of just how to get the, you know, we could have a box at City Hall where people could drop off seed pods. Yeah, certainly I think there's a lot of options here for how to collect the seed pods, and I think it's a really wonderful opportunity for people to get involved. I have to say that when Janet showed the picture, I was kind of looking around like, oh, I know I donated that one. So it's just kind of fun to be a part of this project. And honestly, Janet, you've done so much work around the country for so many years of really influential and interesting projects that it's just great to have you kind of thinking through this in Sacramento, and nice to have you, you know, allow us in Sacramento to be also a part of your creative process.
Thank you so much, Donald. It's really been a pleasure working with you.
Absolutely.
And continues to be.
Well, and we're not done yet. This is really just the beginning. We're just getting started, you all. So you all are in a very early stage here as we start to move forward. Let's see if there's any other comments that we didn't respond to. Certainly, again, I'll put my email again in the chat.
Thank you to Shaz, I hope I'm saying your name right, for actually speaking out loud. I know people like to do the chat better, but I always like to hear people's voices. So
Yeah, it's okay. We're good with all of it. Yeah. Yeah, I was very, very happy that Commissioner Mehta was able to join us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't wait to be back.
Yeah, and you could tell the other commissioners about to come join our afternoon sessions with artists these 2 weeks. And
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely gonna bring it up in the next meeting next month. Yeah, can't wait.
Great. Yeah, well, actually, next month I'm going to be presenting to you all of these projects as well. and with a much more truncated, shortened version. So terrific, everyone. Well, here, I'll put my name again in the chat, put my email again in the chat. I want to take just a moment to thank a couple folks. Janet, of course, thank you for your presentation here today and your thoughtful, continuing thoughtful creative process. I want to thank Beth Jones and Linda Jolly, who are here, who are both working with our office as consultants, developing this project together. And thank you also to Diana Rufner in the background, helping with our Zoom technical support. To those panelists that are here today, thank you so much, and to for being part of this process, and the fruits of your hard work are starting to come out. And lastly, I just want to say, for those of you who are left, thank you for taking the time to be here. It's a wonderful opportunity to just be in dialogue, informal dialogue with the artists and with all of you. So it's been a real pleasure. I hope you do join us for the remaining 6 sessions this week. And the next one will be Singer Studio. That's tomorrow at 12 p.m. The exact same Zoom link. So you just come to the exact same Zoom link, and we will see you then. Again, everybody, we'll put this on YouTube. Janet, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.